on me and not Kanye's face. Thank you. Auto-tune wanted to put Kanye into the video. How silly. Auto-tune, autofocus. Hey everyone, my name is Emma Kettler and thanks so much for tuning into my YouTube channel. If this is your first time here, welcome. There are billions of other YouTube videos you could be watching, so I really appreciate it that you stopped in and decided to watch mine. If you are returning, you may or may not know that I recently moved into a new home. It is gorgeous. I could not afford it if I was not renting, but who cares? I'm living in it either way. One of the bad things about renting though is that means you can't paint the walls, unfortunately, and I am such a colorful, bright, eclectic person. I really want a statement wall. Luckily, there's these great things out there now called stick-on wallpaper. Where did this tube come from? I don't know. But we are going to be applying a chalkboard statement wall to this wall. We won't be doing the whole wall because one, I am broke, and two, there's an outlet. We didn't want to have to cut around it, and also it is just a pretty big space, and I just really would love the opportunity to add a little fun design, have people sign the wall when they come in and visit. So I'm really excited to do that. Since we're not doing the entire wall, we will be using a tape measure as well as a pencil and a level to measure out our ideal rectangular square shape that we're going to be using for our chalk wall. We'll also be needing a step stool or some kind of stairs. Please do not use a rolling chair to apply this. Unfortunately, our walls are textured, so they're not fully smooth, but they're not popcorn, so they don't have all the little beads, but they do have a little bit of a texture to it. Hopefully it's smooth enough that we're able to apply without any problems and people can draw on it without any problems, but if it all mucks up, I'm blaming that. So I got this chalk wall stuff at Home Depot. I think it was about $8 a roll, so not the most ideal, but since we're doing a small area, we ended up only buying 4 rolls. As well, if we have any excess chalk wall, rather than returning it, I believe that we'll end up putting an extra little chalk space in either our office or the kitchen. That way we can, as roommates, write little notes to each other, make lists, because I know there's apps for that, but chalkboard walls are much cuter. So we're gonna go ahead and get started. First thing we're gonna do is measure out the exact area that we're gonna want to put our wall in. But rather than going top to bottom, we're gonna go ahead and roll it out left to right. That way we can just do one roll all the way across, and hopefully we can get this off. I have read the reviews that it can be quite difficult to take the sticky off of there, but we are gonna go ahead and get started. We're gonna go ahead and get started. So we're actually gonna start with the bottom because I think that'll be a little bit easier to start from there and then work our way up to the top. It was starting to get a little toasty, so we went for a quick wardrobe change. We have our bottom layer on, so what I have learned just from this layer, it is really easy to peel off and stick on. You can definitely see the texture through, which sucks, but I think it'll be okay in the long run. You really don't need one of those hard squeegee things. If anything, I think the easiest was just using a rag to push all the bubbles out. As well, I was honestly using my elbow, and I think that was easiest because it does stick on pretty easily and it peels off. So you really don't have to be too worried about making mistakes because you can peel it off and replace very, very easily. So we're gonna go ahead and get started on the last few layers, the second and the rest of the layers. So we are on to our last layer of our wall. It already looks so good, I'm so excited. So we need to cut our roll just a little bit because this itself is like way, way too tall. Really, the bottom doesn't have to be perfect because it will go over one of the layers just a little bit. So you're not gonna be able to tell if I cut really poorly. Also, this paper is not even cut straight. One of the corners has a weird overlap, not my fault. We're actually gonna try to X-Acto knife it so it is perfect, but look at how good it looks already. So of course, makes sense, there's lines on the back so that way you can cut it. So I went ahead and made a little mark. I left a whole extra square, so there's a little bit room for error on our part, and I'm gonna go ahead and just cut using regular scissors. I don't know if you can tell, but my cut was not perfect. It's all good because we're gonna put the side that I cut overlapping the other layer of black, so you're not even gonna be able to tell, and we'll use the perfect side for the long side. I am so excited by how it turned out. I think it looks amazing. And then we're gonna, of course, put out our chalk, do a little decorating around it. And actually one day I'm hoping that we'll get a nice little bench that will fit right underneath the chalk wall. That way we have more seating, more storage. It'll cover up that outlet. It'll look A+. So a few little tips that I think that we learned here today. It was okay applying to a texture wall, not perfect. If you can, smooth your bubbles from the middle to the outside. And also, if you're doing one that's not covering up the whole wall, make sure you measure everything out first. Don't just go and start applying because the lines are not exactly cut, even though it should be, I'm sure, done by a machine and should be perfect. So a few other tips that we have are definitely a two-person job. I could not imagine doing this myself. I know that Best Dressed, who I love, did a wall on her own, and honestly, A+ to her, because there's no way I would have been able to do this by myself. I definitely recommend lining up your lines as straight as possible and then applying the rest of it. You also really do not need one of the squeegee accessories. You can just use a rag, and I think that was perfect because anything harder would have caused some hard lines in our paper. As well, they do have a tip on there that if you have any bubbles that get stuck and you can't smooth them out, just go ahead and pop them with a pin, and then you should be able to smooth them out as well. We didn't have any of those, so I think good job on us. I'm gonna go ahead and start accessorizing this area just a little bit. So we also bought a few paint markers from Michaels. Unfortunately, they didn't have any super bright fun colors like I was hoping. I did happen to already have a neon yellow from whatever, I don't know. I definitely recommend going for chalk markers instead of actual chalk, just because chalk creates a lot of dust. It can leave a little bit too much residue on the wall, and I think chalk markers come out a lot brighter. There's a few different options for tips, which is cool, definitely if you're trying to draw some fun stuff, and then also you're not leaving any residue behind, so I definitely recommend. Let's go ahead and draw our first item on the chalk wall. I really cannot believe how the wall turned out. I think it looks absolutely amazing. I am so glad we added to the apartment. I think my roommates like it too. Not to mention, look at this wall. I spent a lot of work and elbow, shoulder power drawing that on as well as hanging it up. I'm telling you, my shoulders are so sore from moving. Just hammering stuff, hanging stuff up, they're in pain. Guys, in the middle of filming this video, I reached 100 subscribers. Ow, ow! I know that's not a lot, but it is a lot for me. Thank you so much for watching, so much for subscribing. If you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. Please, 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 if you don't already, please subscribe. I hope you like this. If you have any ideas for what should go on the chalkboard next, leave it in the comment and I will be selecting the next chalkboard from you guys. Right now, it says, cut my life into pieces.
This is my last resort.
So I thought it would be funny, especially since it's with a little fancy Karen wreath. I hope that y'all liked it. I need to stop talking.